and welcome back to my channel. It's Erin, and today we are back with another budgeting video. It's no secret that these are my absolute favorite videos to make, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set up or create your budget. This is kind of a budgeting 101 type of video. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to build a budget from scratch, and this framework works no matter whether you feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck and not making enough money, or whether you are making a lot of money and just want to kind of organize everything better. I also totally feel like less is more when it comes to budgeting, so this is going to be all about how to create a simple budget that doesn't take a lot of time to create and maintain, because then you'll feel compelled to actually go back to your budget on a weekly or a monthly basis and evidently stick to it. We're going to go through all of this today in my budget template, which I will link in the description of this video, but even if you just want to use a blank Excel spreadsheet, that's totally fine. The fundamentals are still the same, so let's get into it. The first step to building your budget is estimating your income. We're in the monthly budget planner tab of my budget template. Other than some instructions in the start here tab, the monthly budget planner is the first tab of this template. And this tab is going to be where you create your monthly budget, starting with the income category. For income, enter all of your subcategories. You can do this by paycheck or by income stream. For example, when I was a salaried employee at my last job getting 2 paychecks a month, I would enter paycheck 1 and the amount was, let's say, $1,700, and then paycheck 2, $1,700. You could also just do full-time job and $3,400 and delete this if you want to lump everything together, and add any side hustle categories. Let's say 500 for babysitting, side hustle 2, let's say another 500. Again, this is not what you actually earn in a month. This is what you're estimating to earn in a month. So if any of these are variable, let's say sometimes you make money with babysitting, sometimes you make money in your other side hustle, you want to enter, I would say, a conservative estimate for this so that you're not budgeting with money that you don't end up getting. For example, if in your full-time job, sometimes you make $3,400 a month and sometimes you make upwards of $4,500 a month, I would probably keep this around this amount so that you're, again, budgeting with a conservative estimate. And then when we go to track our spending, we can always allocate like how much money we actually made. If you have any income streams that you don't necessarily earn money in every single month, so let's say it's a seasonal side hustle, or let's say you Instacart every once in a while just when you have extra time, you could always enter that in here and then leave this amount as 0. So you're not banking on getting that money, but then when you do earn money, you have somewhere to put it in the transactions log. That gives us our income for our budget, and now let's allocate that money towards our needs, wants, and debt payments. I like to start with fixed expenses first, and this could be a mix of needs and debt. So we could enter, let's say, rent, and how much we pay in rent. Let's say we have a car payment and student loans. If you have any credit card debt, you would enter this here as well. So credit card, and let's say you pay $200 a month towards your credit card debt. Now to finish the needs section, this is where we would enter any variable expenses that are considered a need. So I enter things like utilities, groceries, gas, and you're estimating these expenses here for what you assume that you will spend on a monthly basis. Household, insurance, let's say Wi-Fi, phone bill. That's good right now for the needs. As you start tracking your spending, if you come up with other categories that you want to list here, you can always add them in after the fact. Then moving on to our wants, these are going to be our discretionary spend categories. And what I like about doing it this way is after you've already allocated your needs and your debt, you can see the amount left over. So you can kind of decide how you want to allocate that money between your discretionary spend, but then also your saving and investing goals. So from here, you might say that you want to spend $200 a month on food and drinks, $200 a month shopping, $100 a month on your pet, and let's put miscellaneous at $100 a month. Now that you've estimated your budget for your income, needs, wants, and your debt payments, it's time to set some financial goals, and this is where these savings goals and investing goals columns are going to come. Here on this tab, you can see the dollar amount that you have left over to allocate towards your savings and your investments, but you also see a percentage breakdown here. So as you can see with the budget that we've created here, we have around 11% of our budget left to save and invest. A good rule of thumb is to have this percentage be around the 20% mark for your savings and your investments. But one thing that your budget does not consider is any pre-tax investments. So if you're investing into, let's say, your 401k at work, if you are, that's not allocated in your budget, again, because it's pre-tax. So that's important to consider if you're asking yourself, am I saving and investing enough? Let's allocate this $490 to our savings and our investments. Let's say one of your savings goals is to start or continue funding your emergency fund. So we're going to do $200 into that. Then let's say on the investing side, outside of your 401k, you also want to start investing a little bit of money into a Roth IRA every month. So here we're going to do $50. and that leaves us with $240 left. Now, one big question that I always get in building a budget is how to budget for expenses that don't happen on a monthly basis. The structure of this budget framework is to create your budget kind of one time. You can make updates to it as necessary throughout the year. You're really just creating it once, and then this budget is populating to all of the monthly tabs in the template, which I actually prefer because your budget honestly doesn't change that much month over month. So it makes things a lot simpler to just create it one time instead of every single month having to go back in and start from scratch. But obviously some months have different expenses than others. For example, around Christmas time, you're buying a bunch of Christmas gifts, or if you go on a trip and spend $500 in one weekend, those types of things can throw off your monthly budget. So here is how to allocate for that. I personally use what are called sinking funds to save for expenses like these. So for example, I have a travel sinking fund that every single month I put a little bit of money into so that when I do inevitably take that trip, I'm not blowing my budget in the month that I took the trip, but instead the money is already saved in a separate savings account. So let's allocate the remainder of this $240 towards our sinking funds. Let's say we want to save for holiday gifts. Let's do $50 a month. Let's say we want to save for travel, $75 a month. Let's say we're saving for a big beauty treatment. We'll save $50 a month. And from here, you can decide what you want to do with this additional $65. You can increase your emergency fund, you can increase your investments, or you can honestly just leave this as a buffer in case you do end up going over budget in one category or another. So we will just leave this $65 here for now. And congratulations, you have built your budget. Now let's talk through how to actually make sure that you are sticking to your budget every month, which in my opinion, I think is way more important. Now here we are in the monthly tabs of my template. So I came to the January tab. As you can see, the budget that we just created in the monthly budget planner is populating into all of the expected columns in this tab. So here in the cash flow summary, we can see our income, debt, needs, wants, savings, and investments. So a really just good like overview of your budget. And then you can see the breakdown here as well. So income, needs, wants, debt, savings, and investments. The actual columns in all of these tables are blank, and that is the information that's going to populate from the transactions log. So even though these tabs might look a little bit overwhelming, the only edits that you're making to the tabs is this transactions log right here. This tab is where you're going to track your spending to make sure that you're actually sticking to your budget every single month. So in the month of January, you can pull up this tab every week, every couple of days, or even every day and come in and just log all the transactions as they occur. So on the first of the month, you could log your rent, you could log your income, and leave any notes that you need. You can either keep track of all of the dates that you actually are incurring these transactions, or if you don't care about the date, you can just go like this and highlight it all the way down. You just need to have dates in this column in order for all of the transactions to code properly into the other tabs of the template. Then throughout the month, as you're spending your money, you just log it here. And as you can see, as you're logging transactions, the actual columns are populating from the information in this log. Even though I would say that this is the most important part of the whole budgeting process, this honestly doesn't take that much time. I personally pull up this spreadsheet once a week, and I'm in here for no longer than 10 minutes, just kind of like logging all of my transactions from the week prior. And I just pull up all of my credit card statements, my bank account, my Venmo balances. For example, if my friends and I went out to eat and I put a $200 charge onto my credit card and my friends Venmoed me back 150 of that, I could just log that as needs, or I could just log that as wants, food and drinks 50, or I could log that as wants, food and drinks 200, and then once they do Venmo me back, I could log that as friends Venmo back. So you can really decide what makes the most sense for you. I would personally just log it as this $50 right here. I logged some more income transactions. So as you can see, I logged another paycheck from my full-time job. And then with the babysitting here, remember we listed $500 a month for babysitting as like our estimate, but then I actually made $1,000 this month babysitting. So I logged that $1,000 here. So if you're getting super tripped up on how much to put in the income column in your budget, again, just list a conservative estimate and you can always log how much money you actually made if you made more than that. Now that we have created our budget and tracked our spending for the month, let's review our progress. So this is almost like the reflection process of budgeting. So here it's just important to spend a couple of minutes reviewing all of this data in the monthly tabs to see what you budgeted versus what you actually spent. So again, you can see the cash flow summary here, what you expected versus what you actually spent. And then these tabs also have a ton of different charts to help you kind of like visualize where your money went. The second piece of this is going to be going into the yearly summary dashboard. And this tab is a year-to-date overview of exactly where your money has been going. So this annual cash flow summary, you can see how much money you earned throughout the year and then where all of that money went. So obviously the more months you use this template, the more beneficial this tab becomes. This chart here shows you the category by month, so you could come down here and maybe click on once. So if you use this template throughout the year, you can kind of see which months were your higher spend months. And then down here is kind of the same thing, but with subcategories. So if you click on needs, once you have a bunch of different transactions listed here, you would be able to see how much money you spent year to date in all of your different subcategories. So you would see 8 months in that you've spent $10,000 on your rent this year. The next tab of this template is going to help you keep track of all of your savings goals. This is the sinking funds tracker tab. Here, these subcategories have populated from the monthly budget planner, so don't edit anything in the subcategory column. But here we're going to come over to our savings goals and log what we want our savings goal to be for the year. So let's say by the end of the year, we want to have $3,000 in our emergency fund. We want to have $800 saved for the holidays. We want to have $1,200 saved for travel and $600 saved for a beauty treatment. As you can see beside emergency fund, this says total savings because we logged an emergency fund savings in our January transactions log. So here we logged that we saved $200, so that populates in here. And then if we spend out of that emergency fund, so if we have an emergency come up and we spend the money, we can come down here to savings spend, emergency fund, $100, and then you can log what that emergency was, so maybe like car expense. And then back in the sinking funds tracker, now you can see that your current savings is $100 because you spent $100 of that money. And then last is tracking your net worth, which isn't technically a part of creating a budget, but I think it's important to kind of keep track of all of your accounts and everything in one place. Here in this net worth tracker, everything in column B has populated again from the monthly budget planner, so you're not adding anything into your savings, your investments, or your debt. However, if there's any accounts that you have that aren't included in your monthly budget, so anything like, let's say a 401k, you can add that into other assets. So you can list 401k here. Maybe you could list like home equity if you have a mortgage. Then what you need to do for the net worth tracker is enter in all of your starting information. So let's say you have $1,000 in your emergency fund, $300 in your holiday fund, $200 in travel, and $100 in beauty treatments. Let's say you have $10,000 in your Roth IRA, $30,000 in your 401k. Let's say you have a $10,000 car loan, $50,000 in student loans, and $2,000 in credit card debt. Listing all of your assets and liabilities will give you your current net worth. And then every single month as you're logging things in the transactions log, click this check mark, and then that information will populate in from these transactions log. So the only thing that you're entering in these columns is anything you have under other assets because there's no formulas here. So you can log that, let's say this month you contributed $800 to your 401k. So your net worth will keep updating throughout the year as you continue to click these check boxes. One thing to know is that in order for anything to work in this tracker, there must be dates by all of these transactions in the transactions log. If you forget to put dates here, then this won't update accordingly. Again, I hope this video is helpful for you to feel prepared to start creating a budget, tracking your spending, and hitting your financial goals in 2024. I will link my budget template in the description of this video, or feel empowered to pull up a blank Excel spreadsheet and start creating a budget and tracking your spending all on your own. If you enjoyed this video, I would so appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to my channel, and let me know in the comments what you would like to see from me on my YouTube channel this year.